African American Science and Medicine from 1700 to 1877. Science. Benjamin Banneker was born in 1731 in Maryland. He was born free. He learned Latin, Greek, German, and French. He later studied literature and science. In 1770, he constructed a clock, the first clock constructed in the colonies. He gained international fame through his mathematics and astronomy. He was the first African American to be employed by the U.S. government when he became a member of the Survey Commission in Washington, D.C. From 1791 until 1796, he worked to publish an almanac that could predict the position of the sun, moons, and constellations. He sent Thomas Jefferson a copy of his almanac to argue against Jefferson's claim that blacks were inherently inferior to whites intellectually. Benjamin Banneker passed away in 1806. Thomas L. Jennings was born in 1791. On March 3rd of 1821, he became the first African American man to receive a patent. His patent was for the process of dry scoring, or nowadays dry cleaning. He started as a tailor and later opened a dry cleaners. He used all of his income off of his inventions to free the rest of his family. He also helped fund abolitionist causes. He was the assistant secretary of the first annual convention for people of color that was held in Philadelphia in June of 1831. Jennings passed away in 1856. Lewis Temple was born in 1800 as a slave in Richmond, Virginia. In 1848, he invented an improved harpoon that could withstand enormous strength of large mammals. It also made it difficult for the animals to escape. The harpoon had a pivoting head that stayed embedded in the animal. His invention was called the Temple's toggle or the Temple's iron. It had a prehistoric design. Henry Blair was born in 1806. He was the second African American to receive a patent. He received his first patent on October 14th of 1834. This patent was for a seed planter. The seed planter planted corn faster while requiring less labor. This also helped with weed control. The corn seeds were planted in a checkerboard fashion. His second patent was in 1836. This one was the cotton planter. It had a similar process as the seed planter. At the time of his patents, Blair could not read. He signed his name with an X. He passed away in 1860. Benjamin Bradley was born in 1830 in Maryland as a slave. His master's children taught him how to read. He was naturally good at math. When he was just 16 years old, he built a steam engine out of scrap metal. He was then hired as an assistant in the Department of Science in the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. He saved all of his earnings to develop and build an engine large enough to run the first steam-powered warship. He could not patent his idea. He eventually sold the engine so he could buy his freedom. Granville T. Woods was born on April 23, 1856, in Columbus, Ohio. He had to leave school at 10 years old to help support his family. He became an apprentice for a mechanist. He learned to be a blacksmith and how to invent and repair machines. Later on, he was able to continue his education with night school. In 1872, he became a fireman on the Danville and South Railroad in Missouri. He was later promoted to an engineer.
Many enslaved people invented items and processes which saved them labor that they were unable to patent. Elizabeth Keckley, for instance, developed a system for cutting and fitting dresses that she taught to dressmakers in Washington, D.C. Ned, an enslaved mechanic in Mississippi, invented a cotton scraper that his master, Oscar J. E. Stewart, tried to patent. Stewart was unable to get the patent, but nevertheless went into business manufacturing Ned's invention. Benjamin Montgomery invented a propeller for river steamboats, specifically for use in shallow waters around the plantation. Hezekiah invented a cotton cleaning machine around 1825. An unnamed enslaved man in Kentucky is said to have invented the hemp rake machine. Ebar invented a new technique for making brooms from broom corn around 1800. Stephen Slade developed a new process for curing tobacco in 1839 that was so successful that tobacco growers all over the country adopted it. James Fortin invented a sail handling device sometime after he took over ownership of a sail-making business in 1798. No exact date is known due to the fact that he never patented it, but he used it to great effect in his business. Thomas L. Jennings is believed to be the first black man to receive a patent in the United States for an invention. On March 3, 1821, he received a patent for a dry cleaning process. Henry Blair was long thought to have been the first black man to have received a patent. He patented a corn planter in 1834 and a cotton planter in 1836. Henry Boyd invented a type of bed frame called the Boyd bedstead that, while he never received a patent for, he sought indirect protection by having a white cabinet maker patent it in 1833. He used his invention to become one of the most successful bedstead manufacturers in Cincinnati. Lewis Temple revolutionized the whaling industry with his Temple toggle harpoon that he invented in 1848. His invention was quickly taken into use by the whaling industry, but he unfortunately could not secure a patent on it, and as such competing blacksmiths began to manufacture his toggle harpoons. Norbert Relu invented the multiple effect vacuum evaporation system in 1830, which he patented in 1843. His invention revolutionized the sugar industry and caused the price of refined sugar to drop. He earned considerable wealth from his invention despite repeated attempts to counterfeit it. In 1852, Martin R. Delaney attempted to get a patent for his invention of a device that assisted railroad locomotives with ascending and descending inclined planes. He was denied his patent on the grounds that only U.S. citizens could obtain patents, and blacks were not considered citizens by the Patent Office, despite the fact that by this point many African Americans had patented inventions. Elijah McCoy invented the first of his automatic lubrication devices for steam engines in 1872. The rights for this patent were assigned to William and S.C. Hamlin of Ypsilanti. A year later, McCoy patented an improved lubricator and continued developing improvements for both stationary and moving engines. He patented more than 50 inventions during his lifetime, many of them improvements in lubrication systems. Lewis Latimer patented his first invention of an improved bathroom compartment for railroad cars in 1874, before going on to work with Alexander Graham Bell and later Thomas Edison.
Medicine. Here's some quick medical facts. In 1847, Rush Medical School in Chicago, Illinois, awarded an MD to David Jones Peck. He was the first African American to get a medical degree from a U.S. medical school. In 1849, John Van Shirley DeGrassi graduated medical school from Bowdoin College in Maine. He was the first African American medical officer in the U.S. Army during the Civil War. In 1850, Daniel Lang Jr., Martin Delaney, and Isaac H. Snowden were the first African Americans to be admitted to Harvard Medical School. In 1851, they were expelled by Oliver Wendell Holmes Sr. In 1854, the Massachusetts Medical Society admitted John Van Shirley DeGrassi as a member on August 24th. He was the first African American to be admitted to a U.S. medical society. In 1862, Freedmen's Hospital in Washington, D.C. was established to provide medical care for slaves, especially those that were freed after the Civil War. This was the only federally funded healthcare facility for African Americans. In 1864, Rebecca Lee Crumpler was the first African American woman to graduate from an American medical school. She graduated from the New England Female Medical College in Boston. In 1865, Alexander T. Augusta was placed in charge of the Freedmen's Hospital in Savannah, Georgia. He was the first African American to direct a U.S. hospital. In 1869, Alexander T. Augusta, Charles Burley Purvis, and Alpheus W. Tucker were denied admission to the Medical Society of South Carolina. In 1872, Henry Fitzbutler was the first African American to graduate from the University of Michigan Medical School. In 1873, Susan Smith McKinney graduated from New York Medical College and Hospital for Women. She was the first African American woman to be certified as a physician from the college.
James McCune Smith was the first African American to receive a medical degree when in 1837 he graduated from the University of Glasgow in Scotland. In 1847, David Jones Peck became the first African American to receive a medical degree from a U.S. university when he graduated from Rush Medical College. In 1864, Rebecca Lee Crumpler became the first female African American to receive a medical degree when she graduated from the New England Female Medical College. In 1876, Edward Alexander Bouchet became the first African American to receive a PhD from an American college when he received his doctorate in physics from Yale.
Caesar was a slave in South Carolina. In 1751, he was freed by the General Assembly of South Carolina because he found a cure for rattlesnake bites. He also found a cure for mercury poisoning. He was given £100 per year for the rest of his life. In 1762, James Durham received a certificate to practice medicine in the United States. He set up his own practice in New Orleans. He was extraordinary at the treatment of yellow fever. He met Benjamin Rush. In 1789, he cured more patients of yellow fever than any other physician in New Orleans. He only lost 11 patients of his 64. The disease itself killed thousands. Rebecca Crumpler was born in 1831. She was the first African American female physician. She studied general medicine at the New England's Female Medical College. Crumpler received her MD in medicine in 1864. She was the only African American woman to graduate from this school. The school closed in 1873. Once the Civil War was over, she provided care to freed slaves that would have went without medical care otherwise. She passed away in 1895. Dr. Rebecca Cole was born in 1842. She attended the Women's Medical College of Pennsylvania. She studied general medicine. In 1867, she obtained her MD. In 1873, she opened a Women's Directory Center that provided medical and legal services for women and children. This center was located in Philadelphia. She practiced medicine for 50 years. Dr. Cole passed away in 1922.